So there's some new stuff in the production planner, but I'm not gonna like do a state of dev feature of it. So basically, I put a stop button in because implementing a block controller kind of worked to a point, but it broke some stuff. Rather than pulling, I could still pull it out. But rather than pulling it out, I've added a stop button in. So if I want to tinker with a lot of numbers and then pick up the calculation later, I don't have to abuse the abort control functionality to like stop calculations. I can just literally stop calculations and pick it back up again. Now the issue is, I tinkered with my factory layout again. So now I need to double check all of my signage to see what I need to change. So, let's see, where is it? So this is rods and beams. I don't have the numbers perfect, but I've got them enough that I can start running conveyor holes up and down the fronts of buildings. So, you know, there's that. Okay, so we've got iron rod beams, cased industrial beam. Yep, this side's good. Yeah, this side's changed. So, does that mean the other side's changed? Oh, well, the other side doesn't have a blueprint. Well, does it have a blueprint? Yes, it does, but has it changed? No, that hasn't changed. Hang on a second, did I line that up wrong? Yeah, I think I lined that up wrong. There we go. Redo that. Of course, I don't have I forgot I didn't have a hypertube ready and waiting for us. Where's me windows for rearranging? There they are. Heading back over to the blueprint designer, because then we can check on stuff. I forget if I already caught that. So I blame Hannah.com got a shout out on this week's dev stream. Yeah, so we need to head back to the blueprint designer up there, which I forgot that's where I put it. Because I thought I still had one left over there. So then we can check on all of the deployed signs, like in situ, rather than having to res them. Well, build them and wait for them to res. Right, let's have a look. Computers. Yep, that's good. Yep, also good. Use 100 frames, 100 frames, 20 frames, 3 and 4 time plates, and plates. Yep. Yeah, so it's this one that was missing stator. Although, hang on a second. Hang on a second. So the reason it was missing stator because it was meant to go directly into motor. Crap. Have a look at the codecs. Now it's using other parts as well. Yeah, so it didn't get a floor initially because there's nothing to build with a stator. Like an actual building that is spawned in the world. But there's other parts that need it, so you kind of have to do some... What's casting that shadow? Is that bits of the space elevator? Anyway, yes. Things, stuff. Load blueprint. Some modders. There we go. Cool. Oh yeah, let's designer, pick the parts back up. I suppose I could have just left that sign there, to be honest. Wrong sign. Oh yeah, while I'm here we can do railings. Add another floor. It's 5 and 3, isn't it? Do the ceiling again. Short on parts, aren't I? Yep. God, I had FICSMAS still running there. I mean, you would have thought that the Santa hat on us when I was going up the hypertube would have been a hit. But, you know. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get done with FICSMAS 2024 before FICSMAS 2025 starts. Really rather depends on how much inspiration I have to work on the new features I want to put into the calculator thing. Yeah, so that's gonna take ages. We got like 500 of them or something. Taking a moment to say something goofy in the Discord there. Oh, sounds like that. Spit this back. There we go. I mean, we do have Nobelisks unlocked now, so at some point we could actually get rid of these and wall this up and shit. I'm not sure whether the awesome sink being idle would be enough to stop it from spawning, though. Completely forgot about that. I'm gonna have to pick up that crate next. Yeah, I'm gonna post something on the Discord to be a troll again. Not worth it, no. I just realised that I could move the space elevator without tearing down the starter factory. Because at the moment it's just sitting there not connected or anything. Yeah. Rotated correctly. And run the power in. Now, one of the things we could do is, while we're up here, we could start doing the whole laying out the belting placeholders, like, you know, the input-output stuff. But that would get us distracted from correcting the signage over at lot facility. It's field facility east. Oh, hang on a second. The signage is correct. Is it rods and beams that's wrong? Yeah, some of the numbers are messed up there because, like, I hadn't moved iron rods storage over to the new building. Okay, so that's correct. So, why did I think something was amiss over there? Oh, so had I just not deployed the sign, like, so I corrected the sign but hadn't deployed it? Is that it? Uh, yeah. So most of that is gonna get torn down, which is fun. Because we only need the warehouse concrete and the pipe. There we go. Now the question is, do we have enough inventory space to dismantle this entire thing? Double check I hadn't done any wiring in there. And we might run out of space. One could make a start on viaducting, but I haven't really had time to like set aside to think about how I'm going to do the belting. Well, actually, I'll tell a lie. So the issue with the viaduct belting is what goes where. If it is about building it, it doesn't matter because I know at the moment how much I've got coming in and coming out. I don't know what order it's going in because you know, it's in the planner, but I could still shuffle it about. So yeah, let's get something done there. Okay, so again, I'd have to refer to the previous playthrough to make sure I got these the right way round, because like the in and the outside of things. But in terms of how far away from this that the viaducting is, it kind of doesn't matter. Let's have a look. Steel Facility West. Congress redistribution. Yeah, I should really have like an overview panel. Apparently I'm not sending iron to the frames anymore. I'm guessing that's got something to do with the shift to having this separate facility. So previously I was shipping steel parts, making steel things on site, whereas now I'm making all of the beams for screws over here. except where it makes sense. Like if I've got an alt recipe that you like, where what? Okay, in case industrial beams is an example. It's not really an example in the case of how I've got my factories planned out, but it's an example of alt recipes. So there's one alt recipe uses steel beams, and there's one alt recipe uses steel pipes. In that context, you could shift. You can either have two separate input lines for steel pipe and steel beam pre-planned, or you can use those same two inputs, assuming that there's like enough bandwidth on the available belts to have iron ingot and coal go in, if you've got solid steel ingot in this case, and then you make whichever part you have planned out for that recipe. So if you get, like, if you want to get the steel pipe based one, you initially got to start with the steel beam based one. You producing steel beams, and then you switch to producing steel pipes, and you don't have to adjust, like or tear down infrastructure. You just change the recipe on the machines. Whereas the way this is set up, we're going to have beams and pipes going into encased industrial beams, and then one will get backed up and overflow, and then the other will be producing stuff, and then eventually it'll get torn out. So yeah, I was checking on the belts for the planned coal redistribution floor. So let's take that one out. So we're looking at 1x belts across the board here. So yeah, like that's not enough height really. I want like a 2 clearance minimum. So we're going to have ceiling mounted poles. I think we need to go down another one. Do we need to go down another one? Or I think this might be an artifact of the floor being a 4 meter base for the ground floor. Yeah. So if this was connected to the ground level would be 4 meter, and this would be a 1 meter instead of being 4 meter, which means that the ceiling mounted poles would have it at the correct height. Now, with this here, it's not too bad. It just looks a little odd. Okay, so yeah, that kind of works out. So yeah, because you know if the inside edge of the viaduct is going to be here, and the outside edge is going to be at most. Actually, how many have we got? So if we just take it as is, How many do we need? So we need 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we got coal and iron. Limestone, quartz, some more, water in, water out. Oh yeah, and copper alpha alloy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So yeah, we're going to need a minimum of 4 things. Which means the if we have that being the tapered edge, and then we start the actual east-west, you know, here. I think when I've blueprinted this width of thing previously, what I've attempted to do is have this final one be here, but I think during update 8, the vertical offset of putting conveyor belt poles on these was a little bit off. Let's see if that's still the case. Yeah, that looks okay. I mean, visually it's off because that's lower than that, but those look to be about the same. So I'm not sure what's going on there. So I think on previous playthroughs, I've put the main support column on the outside edge, which made expanding the viaducts a bit of a problem. Whereas if I do them on the inside, that means expansions happen away from the buildings. Okay. I'm just going to leave that in place there, because partly because it means we can go dismantle some more stuff, but also hoping future me will look at that, momentarily forget what the hell I was doing, and then recall that I need to plan out the viaduct belting if I haven't already figured it out by the time I get around to it. think we need to go put some stuff away. And I think I might actually go so far as running a little bit of a hypertube over, because yeah, flying's nice, but I want to be able to just like step away from the computer for a bit, kind of thing. Question is, do we put the hypertube over here so it goes down, or do we put it at the ground level so we have to then go up? Ooh, we put it at the ground level, and then we do both, because come 1.1 we'll have hypertube splitters, so we can steer like, oh, we can have like a little Y-shaped piece here, and make the steer and go wee. Oh, we can get spat out here. Alright, so let's get this expanded. Also, I'm not carrying all the parts with me. So the question here is, do we take on an interesting route or not? Because, like previously, I've brought this tube through the let's see, where is it? Yeah, through this canyon here. That's a canyon. It's cut through the rocks, so it would scoot out over the lake and have a nice, entertaining view. Yeah, run out of a couple of sheets there, probably. Now the question is, do I want to keep streaming now that I've done that unit of work? The answer is I'm not sure. Because we're in the middle of another unit of work. And that is like straightforward enough that if I'm not occupied with something else on a lunch break, I can be doing lunch break streams for this next week. So yeah, I tried making a start on a new feature for the calculator library, and then I realised I had a bit of a problem. So I'm wanting to do like a tree-based calculation model. So it's all like async and shit. And I got to a point when I realised, oh crap, I need to take input to account, like into account here. Whoopsie. Because the idea is, with the tree-based model, you want to have two modes of operation. One in which you parameterize getting the entire tree in one call, and the other in which you like defer it for later. Um, and in both cases, input is a factor. So if you want to produce iron plate, you need iron ingot. You need iron ore. If you input iron plate, that means you've got nothing to produce. Well, except the remainder of stuff left over. So that's why it shows up in the UI. So if you're like undersupplying a facility, you still got to produce some shit in the ingredients. And then it also negates parts of the tree. So one way around it is you could just kind of wastefully calculate the full tree and then just omit part of the results. Because, the idea here is that I want to pre-calculate a tree with an amount of 1 and then just multiply the results, so I don't actually have to do like expensive tree exploration. Because at the moment it's like I've improved the efficiency a little bit today, but at the moment there's a bit of an efficiency problem where I will repeatedly calculate iron ingot production. Well, that's not so much calculating. I'll repeatedly look up the calculations for iron ingot production. So, for example, reinforced iron plate with screws rather than with screws or with stitched iron plate with iron wire. You're going to have two different parts requiring iron ingot, which means it's going to be two separate leaves or nodes in the tree. Depending if you're talking about trees or graphs here, no, it's node or leaf. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, two separate thingies in... Oh, see, that's still up there again. Two separate thingies in the tree, both producing iron ingots, which means it has to look up and resolve the recipe selection twice. Getting back to the whole input thing, if you're already supplying iron ingots, you don't need to calculate those subtrees. If you're already supplying iron plates, you don't need to resolve that subtree either, because it doesn't really care, according to the current recipe selection, how the iron plates were made. Now, if you compound that by like space elevator recipe parts or the like high tier parts, where there's going to be a lot of branches in those trees, not taking input into account would lead to some like potentially wasteful calculations. The advantage is that when you come to do the math part, yeah, you can like skip stuff out. So if you take the amount and the input as arguments to that, then you could cut out some nodes, but then that's a different algorithm than the one I've currently got, I think. So either I take input into account when building the tree, or I take input into account when I'm doing the math. Oh shit, I should have brought the copper sheets over. Is this where I put the steel pipes? I think this is where I put the steel pipes. Yeah. Cool. So So yeah, it's a good thing that we're starting this tube from this end. So I have to come back here for the pipes anyway. Here you go. Brain, things, stuff. So yeah, model of production, calculation thingies. So from a efficiency point of view, if you are starting a new planner session and you input a high tier component, yeah, those calculations are going to need to be done anyway. If you are loading an existing JSON document where some parts have already been produced, that's the case where it would be wasteful to not take input into account. It's kind of one of those things I have to figure out how I want to do it. There's also the other thing of object reuse. So one of the things I'm considering for this new implementation is the idea that the objects will get reused. The idea that you'll have something saying, I want iron ingots. And then you want to be able to switch recipes. It has to run the calculation again. And then you want to switch it back. And under the current model, it reruns the calculation again. Under the new model, it would catch the results of 3. And skip some shit. Okay, so that's in there. So what we can do is we could leave this in here, or we can dismantle it. Because it would mean, if we leave this in here, that means we want to walk from there to there. Then we just go, wee. But if we dismantle it, we'd have to go, blah, 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 blah. Not necessarily making those noises, but you know. So yeah, I think I'll leave them in. We'll just make some adjustments. So yeah, getting back to the brain, waffling, rambling thing. So yeah, the whole thing of the new model of operation, one of the concerns is memory and performance. Because at the moment, I'm discarding things, which means like, the memory from the calculation would spike and then drop back down once it's garbage collected. But with the new model, all those are going to get persisted a bit. And then that's where this whole like brain farting on how to handle input came in. Because if I handle input up front, what do I cache on? Because at the moment, input's handled as raw JSON, not not like actual clappers. means calculating hashes, not just using weak map. If you're using classes, you've got a reasonable expectation that you're throwing the same instance around, whereas if you're just using raw objects, you don't really have that expectation. It's just implementing an object, implementing an interface. Waffle, waffle, waffle. Okay, that's this done. Yeah. I think I'm gonna, just call it here. Because the next step is figuring out viaducting over there. And that involves the whole shenanigans of running conveyor belts up and down the front of the building. And I kind of don't want to do that tonight because my brain wants to think on other stuff, and that means playing something which requires less cognitive load, so the relaxed brain can ponder more freely. So, yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.